All right, you're in the Peacock corner. It's all Peacocks all the time. Not complicated. WJR, producer John Gunderson working the dials off in the distance. And by most accounts, the brains of this outfit, the Alpha Peacock Mike Schrock, fresh out of hair and makeup. Mike, good afternoon to you.
Every time we start this show, Warren, it's a new compliment. But as I think about these compliments you give me, they're backhanded. The hair and makeup thing, what's that about? Come on.
No, I think they do a fine job. You don't know what you're talking about. They do a bang-up job every time, Mike. So we're good. Definitely not a passive-aggressive left-handed compliment by any stretch. You ready for this one?
Yeah, Warren, we have got easily one of my favorite guys on campus on here. And this is going to be the first of many here as we get ready to begin the new football season and year. And I know you know him, Warren, real well as I do. But why don't you go ahead, Warren, and give everybody a little introduction into who our guest is today.
Delighted, Mike. If you like football, everybody, you're going to love this show because that's all we're talking about today. The Peacocks are now 6 Saturdays away from the home opener at Harms Eyeshide Stadium, Saturday the 29th of August, 2 p.m. kick. And they're coming off the best season of football in Fayette in this last half century. 9 up, 3 down, capped with a thrilling win in the Albanese Candy Bowl last December. The architect of this fine season is head football coach Jason Hoskins, who joins us in the Peacock Corner this afternoon. Coach, you're probably too busy getting ready for the next one to be admiring the last one for a real long time. So I won't dwell on it for long, but holy smokes, how long did it take you to come down from that win in December down in Indiana?
I think the 9-hour blizzard ride on the way home, I think I was pretty good by the time I got back. The guys know, and I've talked to them about it. I don't, as much as this probably is, we probably should enjoy it more. The time between me enjoying wins to getting to the next thing is getting shorter and shorter as my career goes on. I'm barely out of the tailgate area anymore, and I'm already moved on to the next one. So that feeling, I keep telling the guys, is a fleeting feeling. We don't have time to dwell on the last one because you got to get back on and do the next thing. That's what we're focused on, and we feel pretty good about it. And obviously, it was a great year, and it was a lot of fun. Now I got to try to make sure that everybody around him doesn't keep talking about the year last year. Like, I kind of get that thing. Or if our guys start talking about it, I'm like, hold on now, we're on to the next thing. But it was great. It was a fun year, and it was a culmination of really all of our seniors that we've kept in this program, just believing in it and getting it done. So everybody asks how we did this. No, there's no magic formula. We recruited really good kids from the Midwest for the most part, and a few out of area kids that were really good. And we got them to believe in this and stay. If you look at in the world of college football, the transfer portal's that 800-pound elephant in the room. We shield ourselves from it. Our kids, if they transfer, they're transferring down so they can play, or transferring up to go take another shot somewhere. If you look at our transfers, they're not lateral guys. So if you're transferring from Upper Iowa to another Division II, you're not trying to find something, you're trying to run away from something. And we've stayed away from those kids we stayed away from the problems of kids wanting to do that, where it's not Upper Iowa's just not the place for me. I'm good at the Division II level. I just don't want to be at Upper Iowa. We have had very little of that, where kids are leaving Upper Iowa and going to another Division II. So there's a litmus test now for programs. How many kids are in the portal and where are they going to? It's not necessarily both or one or the other. You could have 20 guys in if 15 guys are going to Division I. Then it's 15 guys go to Division I and 5 of them can't play at this level and go down. It's all right. The kids are trying to find something different. You have 30 kids go in the portal and 25 of them end up on other Division II rosters. Then it's time to sit down with your staff, figure out what's going on with your program. If something's broken, something's not right.
Yeah, Coach, can you take us through a little bit? You talk about not dwelling on last season's success. When you're having those after-season interviews or sit-downs with your returners that are going to be back this year, what is kind of that conversation in regards to trying to keep this streak of success that you're having? What are you telling those guys in regards to don't focus so much on what we did, but what we're going to do and what their summers should look like when they come back to Upper Iowa?
Mike, here's what I'd say. By the way, you look great after hair and makeup, by the way.
Thank you.
Now I will say you probably weren't in hair and makeup very long. It was probably a short visit, but our big thing with that is And hopefully our guys maybe don't hear this or whatever, but I'm going to say it anyway. We've had a taste and we understand, all right, this is what it takes to win. But at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish what our ultimate goal was. So there's still plenty of things to accomplish. So now we can feel it. We know what the blueprint is. We know what we have to do. So they've got a taste on, all right, this is what we've got to do. But we also didn't accomplish what we wanted to do. We're still 18 yards short of a conference championship last year. And we were still 18 yards short of playing. Now we did play a postseason game, which is one of our goals, but we didn't play in the national playoffs, which is ultimately a goal. So, all right, you guys had some success, but at the end of the day, we didn't win the league. We didn't go to the playoffs. We finished third in the league, really. So as we talk about it, we're like, all right, I want to focus on the positives of these are the things that we did. And so we were right there, and you guys know what it takes and what the tools are and what we have to do. But we also have to find a little bit more in the tank because at the end of the day, we missed somewhere. We missed somewhere where we were. And I've talked to you guys about this before. We played 31 minutes of bad football, cost us a conference championship and playoffs. We did. We went to Truman and we were up with a minute left in the first half, and we played the worst 31 minutes of football we'd play all year, and it cost us. After that Truman game, I don't think we played bad football the rest of the year. We had maybe a series or two, but after that Truman game, we pretty much rolled until we got to Indy, and then we had a battle there. And you look down the stat sheet, if you just took the score away and went down the stat sheet, you could definitely argue, oh, yeah, Upper Iowa probably ended up winning this football game. And that's not where it was. We were just short. Ultimately, when you don't accomplish exactly what your goals are, then you're back in there trying to find work. And the thing I stress upon our team is to get from 2, let's say 2-9 to 8-3, is this amount of much work, right? But then to get from 8-3 to a 10-1 or a 9-2, one more game takes as much, if not more work, just to accomplish that, just that little bit more. Once you get to the top, it takes a lot more work for just incremental gains. So, and we got such a good group of young men here that these guys get it. They're bought in. Now we got a lot of new faces. So Mike, you may hear me yelling a little bit from the office a little bit more. We got some new faces, but it's all about bringing them in the fold and understand what we're all about. And these are the things that we feel are important to playing winning football and going out there and eventually rolling the football out there and go.
And we're going to take a little bit of time this afternoon to take inventory of who's coming back to Fayette and who are some newcomers who could make an impact. But first, just a handful of changes to your staff to discuss, including news of a very promising young coach, Max Longman, moving up in the food chain. What can you tell us about Max?
Yeah, he is a phenomenal young football coach. And he is young. He's in his 20s. So I can't see the 20s anymore. I mean, that's back in the rearview mirror a little bit. But we hired Max, obviously, as an O-line coach when our previous O-line coach took a position in league, and we were looking around. I interviewed 4 or 5 guys, and they were all really good football coaches, but none of them, I'm like, gosh, there's got to be somebody out there that I feel can do it for us. And sometimes that's it. It's just the right place, right time, what feel you got. And I don't mind saying this, and hopefully Coach Parling hears it, but Coach Longman, we were doing a Zoom interview essentially. And we're trying to talk and all that. And Coach Parling, our old OC, he'll push you now. Like he's got his way of thinking about things, and he'll push you. And so he's pushing Coach Longman, who's a young guy that he's been out of playing football for 6 months. And Coach Longman just stuck to his guns and said, no, coach, it's this, and did it in the right way. And I remembered I had to go to a meeting. The Zoom ran long. And I said, guys, hey, you guys go ahead and wrap it up. Coach Parling, keep asking some questions. I got to go do this. I hung up on that thing. I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy. So I went over to Coach. I still call him Coach. I still call Rick Coach. So I went over to Coach Hartzell's office and said, hey, listen, I got a guy. He's extremely young to be our O-line guy. But here's the deal. I interviewed guys. They were good coaches. I liked them. But I felt like there was something missing. If these guys have 10, 12 years of experience, and I think that there's something that could be a little bit different, they're not going to change. They're in their deal. where this guy I thought was already extremely good, and he's just getting started. So he's just going to continue to get better and better, and he has. Our kids love him. He did a phenomenal job here with our O-line for 2 years. And then we were able to, when Coach Parley moved on, take a Division I job. It was an easy decision for me. So I had to sit down, talk with Rick, and then I had to sit down with Max, and we just promoted. And it's been phenomenal. Had a great spring. He's brought in different wrinkles. He has some different ideas. Well, he's been around a little bit. He played at UMass, and then really where I got him from is as a guy that I know, Rich Moran. He knows Bob Bosted, who's the O-line guy at Indiana, and just texted him, said, "You got anybody that's looking? My guy at Upper Iowa was looking for an O-line coach." That's how we got it, Coach Longman. So it's been a slam dunk hire for us. It's been, I couldn't have asked for that hire to go any better. And then in the last couple months, we've hired a new receivers coach in Clyde Logan. That's got a lot of experience, played at the Division I level, played in the NFL, was at a junior college out in California for a decade, got back into 4-year football for a little while at Western New Mexico and Midwestern State, where we hired him, D2 out of Texas. Tireless recruiter. And as we looked at hiring him, and I was calling his references, because he's got some really good references too. They're like, "Coach, he's a phenomenal coach. I'd hire him tomorrow, but you're going to love him because he's such a good person. He's a great coach, but he's even a better person, a man. He's a family guy." And it's good because his kids are going to love him, but the recruits love him. And I'm not going to lie, he's in my office every day. He's got 2 new kids that he dug up. We're 2 weeks out, and he put 2 guys on my desk today. So he's out there, and he's kicking the bushes and finding good quality student athletes that we can bring on. And he's already doing a really nice job with our kids. He hasn't been here very long. And then we hired Cole Peterson, who was the tight ends coach at UConn last year. And he'd been a few places. He'd been at UConn, Arkansas State. He was at Ottawa, which is NAIA down in Arizona. But Cole Peterson, we brought him in to be our quarterbacks coach. Same deal. He's been phenomenal. Came in, had a full dissertation on all the quarterbacks that we had on our high school board already, knew what kids he liked, what he didn't, got a couple of kids to our camp, guys that were maybe not even quite on our board. They were on our board, but then he took that thing to the next step. And one of them we really liked in camp, ended up offering him on Friday. So he's done a really phenomenal job. And I think those guys are in a spot where, yeah, they want to be a part of something and they want to stick their name on something and be able to help improve a program. So with those guys on top of already who we have, obviously Coach Miser, who's been here as long as I've been here now, my second stint, Coach Good, who's been here for a while. I think we have a phenomenal staff. I'm becoming the dumbest guy on staff. Mike, I think I am the dumbest guy on staff, but that may make me the smartest guy on staff, actually.
Coach, as we get into the student athletes a little bit here, I know it's early. We're not going to ask you for any official depth chart, but Warren and I do want to talk a little bit about kind of the positions kids you have coming in. And I'm going to start with the most popular question that everybody's wondering. Daryl Overstreet, he's been your guy at QB for the last 4 years. He is now off having great success, now going to be up in Canada. What's the quarterback position look like? Who do we have contending for the starting spot this year?
Oh, I thought you were going a different way, Mike. I thought you were going to ask me who my holder was, but I'll go with quarterbacks.
That was going to be my question, Coach. I stuck a pin in that. We'll come back to that one.
All right. We had a couple guys here already that are getting older. So, and then we're also bringing in some newcomers. So we had August Stock here. Clark Coleman's been our backup. Clark's still got something. I'm not going to get into it, but right now Clark's here. I don't think this is the appropriate spot to talk about some of that stuff, but hopefully right now Clark's in the mix. And then we've had some young guys. We had some freshmen that have been here, a couple of freshmen. And then we brought in a few kids. So we brought in a transfer from UMass, Amar Wise. And like I said, you talk about Coach Longman being young. I don't mind saying this on here. Coach Longman played with Zamar at UMass at one point. And now he's in his 3rd year coaching. So we've got Zamar's here. He's been doing good. He's been here all summer. Brogan Sims is a freshman that we brought in from Texas. Really polished kid. Very good baseball player also. Liked him a lot. And then we've got 2 local freshmen that we're bringing in from Center Point, Urbana, and Cedar Rapids, Jefferson. So we've got a couple of other freshmen that are coming in, and we feel good about where that room is. And now those guys got to go compete. So no, I don't have a clear-cut answer on exactly where we're at in terms of where we're at quarterback. Fall camp's going to have to get that sorted out a little bit. It's a little bit harder in this day and age because the NCAA, it keeps cutting down the amount of practice time we have. So we basically get 19 practice opportunities before our first game. Used to be with 2 a days and all that. You'd be in the 30s, just under 40. You don't get that many practice anymore. It's both good and bad because the NCAA runs in and says, all right, you guys got to do this because they're worried about us wearing out the kids. And then if you talk to most college coaches, that's not our deal at all. We're trying to get our kids prepared, but then keep them healthy and fresh for the games. How that's all going to shake out, we'll see. But yes, obviously it's glaring. That's a question I've got more than probably any question because Daryl came in and it was so good. And honestly, we've been good at quarterback now for quite a while, where we felt comfortable with the guys that we had in here, even before I was head coach. But in my entire time at head coach, we had Marcus Orr here, and Marcus Orr and Daryl Overstreet were battling for a while for the job. We had a spot where we had essentially 2 starting quarterbacks on roster and felt good about playing either one of them. We were. In 2023, we were playing both of them. It's, as you guys all know, college football has become more and more about the quarterback. It's about all those positions, but I'll tell you what, that quarterback position in college football anymore that's a different position. You got to have a special guy there, and it's more to it than just being able to throw the ball from point A to point B. Like the reason we were so good, you look at Daryl, going into the last game, he led the country in completion percentage. He was at 72%, which is unbelievable. But he's not going to force the ball. Where's my here, boom, get the ball here. All right, and we're moving the football. So last year we scored on 63 of our 111 drives. That's unbelievable. If we had the ball, we were over 50% clip that we were going to score on that possession. And a lot of that has to do with our coaching staff, the offensive staff there. A lot of it has to do with our O-line and how they're performing up front. But it's a collective effort. But you can say what you want. The quarterback does what he's supposed to do and gets the ball where it needs to be. We design it. This is what it's supposed to look like. The guy that's on the spot and needs to make the decisions, if he makes the right decisions, you're moving the ball. If he doesn't, you may have a long day. And Daryl was phenomenal at that. Where the ball had to go, that's where the ball went. So trying to replace that is a tall task.
Yeah, Daryl was ruthlessly efficient, 23 TDs, 7 picks last year, moved the ball down the field. We were very spoiled to have him for 4 years' time, but now here it is 4 years later. The quarterback position up in the air. That'll be evaluated here in the next 39 days between now and the Jamestown Jimmies on August 29th. Underscores probably the need for a really good running attack. Last year, 5.4 yards per rush, 184 yards per game. Trio of backs combining for 1,500 yards. Gordon, Damon Head Jr., and Calvin Swinney. What's the running back room look like going into camp?
It's all of those guys, and we got RJ Wells back. So RJ was obviously ran around for us in 23 and 20. Unfortunately, had a knee injury in the scrimmage with a non-contact injury with Winona in the spring of 25 that kept him out for the fall of 25. So it was just what's crazy. He finished out the scrimmage, did all that. We only had him for one drive in that scrimmage. And then he came out because that was his drive. And then we found out on Tuesday he had a knee injury. So he finally went in a couple of days later. I was like, my knee doesn't feel right. And then we found out that he had a injury. That was a bad day in the office, by the way, Warren. I moped around. I don't like our kids being hurt anyway, but for a kid to lose a season like that after the fact and didn't even know about it, it was a little odd deal. Obviously, Damon Head's been here for a couple of years. He even got in as a true freshman, played really well, carried the ball a lot all season. His load was a little bit more heavier at the beginning of the year. And then you had Jay Gordon come in. And then towards the latter half of the year is when he started really picking up. And then Calvin Swinney was there. He was consistent the whole year through. So that's probably our strongest position right now. We bring all three guys back that we played, And honestly, now we're bringing back the guy that at one point was our starter prior to his injury. So we may have to find a way. I don't want to give up too many secrets. We may have to find a way to get maybe more than one of those guys on the field every once in a while, because it's a loaded room, and those guys cheer for one another when it's their turn to go or they're called. They get in there and do it. And it's okay to have that type of competition. And I'm still a little old school. I still like running the ball. It's fun watching those kids get out in the open or break a tackle, and now we're steaming down the field. That's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, Coach, another big name that I'm gonna bring up that you're gonna have to replace, who's been pretty solid in the program the last 4 years, is Eddie Burgess at the tight end position. Loved watching that guy play. Consistent, great blocker as well. But you've got some tight ends there that maybe can fill in for him. Did you bring anybody in? What's the tight end position look like?
We haven't. Obviously, we've got our guys that have been there. Logan Rozier, MJ Brooks played quite a bit for us last year, and they played a lot. Obviously, Eddie Burgess he's pretty good now. That's a different player. We're talking about a lot of guys. Obviously, you wonder, hey, how do you start winning games? You got guys like this on the football team. They're going to make anybody look good. So obviously, Eddie Burgess is going to be missed. But like I said, Logan Rozier, MJ Brooks were staples here. We have a freshman, Prince Barnes, that was here as a true freshman last year. That is probably, honestly, out of all these guys, could be our best blocker. He's still a good target. We just got to keep him healthy, but he's a pretty good player. Those are probably going to be our three that we really lean on. Kemper Klein is here, and he has some athleticism. So Kemper Klein will also be in the mix at tight end. So really, those are our four guys that we'll have. Adding Prince in, who was a true freshman this past year. So he still has 4 years left. And then MJ Brooks, like I said, who played junior college ball and then came here. So he's played some football. And then Logan Rozier, who's really burst on the scene last year. He had a really nice year. And all those guys are here this summer, working out and getting ready. If we're good at tight end, we don't mind being out there with two of them. Our main set obviously is to play one, but there are some things where we'll get more than one out there and be a little bit more versatile. So we still feel really good about the room. I'm not saying he can replace Eddie Burgess. I don't think he can get that done. If you guys got one, let me know. If you got another 8-man quarterback that was responsible for almost 200 touchdowns somewhere, I'll take him. All right.
Best thing to come out of Montezuma, Iowa since Highway 63. Eddie Burgess, one of my all-time favorites, I will tell you that. He and Monte Morrow, speaking of big names, combined for 110 catches and 17 tutties last year. Yep. That'll be another tough one to replace. What's the receiver room shaping up like going into fall camp, Coach?
Yeah, here's the deal. At our receiver room, we don't have any returning starters back. So all those guys graduated. Now, we do have guys that played a lot or played snaps that are back here for us, but it'll be interesting to see how that room comes together for the same reason. Obviously, Monte had a great 3-year run here, was now out there with the Chargers, which we're excited about. I think he gets started 2 days from now. He's back in camp. So he had a pretty cool story. So he flew out there. I'm going to tell the story real quick. Okay. So he flew out to do a private workout out with the Chargers or whatever. And he thought he was just going out. All right, I'm going to work out and hop back on the plane and go home. So he had about an outfit, or we had basically a carry-on bag is what he had. Right. So he gets out there and I talked to him after, how'd it go? He's like, "What's good? They took me up and signed me, and now I got to be out here for the next month. I got one pair of shorts, coach," or something like that. So we had to figure out how to get clothes and all that kind of stuff.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I said, yeah, it could go the other way, man. You could have too much clothes for how long you're going to be out there. Yeah, but the receiver room is going to be, we'll have to see how it shakes out. Now, it is a large room. We've got a lot of guys in there. We have a couple of guys that have come in as freshmen that we like. A kid from Cedar Rapids, LJ Nenau, is in here, and he's going. We've got a couple of transfers, like Mervin's Amazon's one guy. So he was a transfer from Sacred Heart. We got Cam Hungerholt, who had a great spring here, and we recruited him hard out of high school, and he came back to us after a semester of being at Mankato. So we had him. Shoot, now you guys are gonna force me. I start going through names and I forget guys, not on purpose, but we're gonna have to see how that room goes. It's gonna be a raw, unproven room in terms of not a lot of starts in it, but we feel good about the kids that we got. We had Carter Pontius from Wisconsin, So we also have a kid here named William Bolabaugh from Oskaloosa, and he's put in a lot of time. He's been here now 4 years, and he's played a lot of snaps. We got to see him get out there and run around. But yeah, it'll be interesting for us to get out there with these kids. And again, there's a lot of names in there, so I'm sure there's somebody in there that I hadn't mentioned, but we got almost 20 kids in that room right now, and they're all underclassmen. I don't know if I have a senior in that room right now. Waylon Bolabaugh is probably the closest. He's probably still has 2 years left because he redshirted, but other than that, we'll have to see. So it's a good, young, talented group. And it's receiver, and this may be, some guys may not agree with me. I think it's a position that if you go in there and dive in and really work your craft, you can make yourself a pretty darn good receiver. Everybody says, oh, you want him to be this and that and all that. We want him lightning fast, or we want him 7 feet tall. And I think you get in there and you learn how to run routes and manipulate DBs and really work your craft. You can become a pretty darn good receiver pretty quick. And we got the right guy. Coach Logan that we just hired is phenomenal, and he's going to get those guys right.
Yeah, Steve Largent is the guy that I think when you talk about a guy that ran great routes and can manipulate DB, wasn't the fastest guy in the world. And I may be aging myself with that reference, but he was fun to watch. But hey, Coach, time to get in the trenches here a little bit. Offensive line, and then just jump on over to defensive line. Got some bodies you got to replace up front, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. Why don't you talk about those Hogs for a little bit?
Yeah, we're obviously, you guys want to talk about quarterback and all that we have to replace, but we've got a lot of new faces that are going to be in the O-line. So we had a great veteran group. We had Clay Seahost, who honestly I still think should have been an All-American. I can't believe he didn't get the nod. He was a phenomenal left tackle for us that we had actually converted from a D lineman. Most guys don't know that. He started as a D lineman, and we had to force him back over on the O-line. He went to the O-line for a little bit, came back to the D line. Then we pushed him back to the O-line again and said, trust me, man, that's home. So, and he ended up doing a phenomenal job there. Ryan McDonough was in there for a while. We had Connor Andreessen, who was the Iron Man. I tell you guys that story. He didn't miss a snap of fall camp. He didn't miss a snap of spring ball. He had to take almost every snap, every spring ball. So I think it was either on like a Gridiron Club video or one of these. I said, he's an Iron Man. He takes every snap. That practice that day, he rolls his ankle, and I didn't think I'd have him for the bowl game. I'm like, there you go. That's what I get for talking about it. So there's going to be some new faces there. We got Sullivan that is taking snaps for us out there. We've got Caden Clark that's taking snaps for us. So we've got some guys that have taken snaps, but we're going to see some new faces out there. Colton Barlow's a freshman that, yeah, he's going to be in the mix right away. Gavin Trask, who's playing in the Shrine game in Iowa this week from Sumner Fred, he's going to be in the mix. You got Mason Heinrichs, who's over at Waverly Shell Rock. So we've got some big kids that are coming in. We're right on the cusp of 2 or 3 transfers right now, too. I know it's getting late and all that. It's been a little bit of a different year with recruiting with offensive linemen. And I'm not going to lie, guys, if you get a big guy that can play in this day and age of college football and recruiting, that kid's going to have, it's a swarm. If the kid gets in the portal and he's got any kind of size on him, he'll have 10 offers before he signs off Twitter that day. It's unbelievable when you're trying to get big kids. We're still in the process of doing that. There could still be a guy or two here that pops up. We've got another kid that's committed. We're just trying to get all his paperwork done. So it's going to be interesting. Coach Longman's going to have his work cut out for him. But I will say this, it has been with our freshman class coming in of O-linemen, and I don't want to take anything away from our guys that we've had before. We've had good offensive linemen, but collectively as a class, this is probably the best O-line group we've recruited since I've been head coach here in the last 6 years, collectively with a full group. And I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna hear a couple of those names probably in 6 or 7 weeks. Some of those guys are gonna roll out there on the field.
That's awesome. Coach Longman will get that O-line whipped into shape, probably go 2 or 3 tight ends. He's probably got some crazy sets ready to go. Looking forward to all that. Mike and Warren in the Peacock Corner, joined today by head football coach Jason Hoskins, taking inventory on who's coming back, who's coming in. Shift our focus now to Rhett Miser's defense. Along the defensive line, I see Shaquille Rome and Eddie Latinaskis, Braden Powers from Denver, Iowa, all gone. So we're going to have some new faces up front, I think.
Yeah, we are. I don't know who the head coach was 4 years, but somebody go back and tell that guy not to play all those kids as true freshmen. So I have them all back. So,
He's on this call.
Is he? That you,
Yes.
Mike?
It's not me.
So we played all those kids early and they did all play. They played and had quality minutes. And at the time, you're not thinking 1,300 days up in the future, but those guys were all good players. Shaq's up playing in Canada right now with Daryl. And I don't know if anybody knows, he was very close to being player of the year, probably a vote shy of being defensive player of the year this past year. Eddie Latt was just a staple at D tackle. We had Willis in there as well. And it was just a really good group. Braden Powers, Gavin Sweeney. We had a really good group up front, obviously. Those guys did a really nice job. Elon Mondi was another one. So I think I named all my seniors now. Up front now, you got DeMonte Mack. He's going to have to take over. Between him and Ben Warner, those are our two guys up front that have played a lot of snaps here. Josh Buechner is a transfer from Saginaw. He's originally from Michigan. So he'll be in there fighting in the mix. You got Logan Wright, who's here from Iowa, who's really probably our strongest kid on the team. Even as a freshman, he was squatting almost 600 pounds, true freshman. Pound for pound, he's our strongest kid on the team. So he'll be in the mix. You got Daniel Robinson, is a kid from Iowa City that we're looking forward to letting him roll out there a little bit. And you're going to see some young guys. We got Chateris Watson at D tackle that's from Davenport North. And he's a big kid. He's big, strong. He's got the best handshake in the world. I don't shake his hand anymore. I can't. I don't have that kind of grip strength anymore. He puts me in the clamp and it's like, all right, dude, I'm good. And I don't have a weak handshake, but his is on a different level. That probably for us on defense is really probably our biggest question mark. In the back seven, as we start talking about those guys, we lost a couple kids, but we had some really good young kids in the mix and guys that we brought in. It's going to be how that D line comes together and how Coach Good can get them going, and we'll get it going. The nice thing about D line is a lot of it's effort, just really good on your technique, have a little bit of a motor, and you can get it done. And we're extremely talented. DeMonte Mack is, I don't know, he really turns it on. It is tough to block him off the edge. He ended up with 7.5 sacks last year, and he was in the mix. We rotate, so he played an even amount of snaps out there, but he ended up as a second-team all-conference guy, and he didn't start every game. But he is pretty explosive, and he's done a heck of a job in the spring and a heck of a job here this summer. Ben Warner's done the same thing. Just these guys are just good. Love them to death. Now it's time. Those guys are going to have to turn it on and let it go.
Yeah, DeMonte Mack, when I see him walking down the sidewalk, I jump into the grass. I don't want to be anywhere in front of that guy. He's a tough cookie, but you're talking about that back seven. How about those linebackers that are going to play directly behind him? I know you had some injuries last year. I know Gage Dunker got hurt during the Drake game, lost him for a while. What do you got coming back at linebacker? Who do you got coming in?
Yeah, so obviously Evan Dorn's was our Mike backer all last year. And he's a good player because we actually moved Trevor Thompson last year from Mike to Will because we especially after Michael Mulheron got hurt. So Michael Mulheron gets hurt early in the Drake game. And then luckily enough that we'd already started saying, you know what, maybe one of our better combinations is having Trevor play a little bit of Will and Dorn playing Mike. Because we knew Evan Dorn was just a Mike. That's what he was going to play. And so then you had two guys sitting there and Trevor had gotten both. So Mulheron went out in the first half of the Drake game and he was done for the season. Then we were basically prepped to have Evan Dorn at Mike, and then we had Trevor Thompson at Will. So we have Michael Mulheron back in the mix, and he's just a really good football player. Savvy. That's probably his best attribute. He's a tough kid, but he's savvy. Evan Dorn is your prototypical, that's exactly what an All-American Division II linebacker should look like. He's powerful, he's strong, he's big enough. It's up to us to make sure that we point him in the right direction. But if we do, he could be that next guy with all those types of accolades. Gage Dunker will absolutely be in the mix. He's a guy that he was getting more and more time, and then he got hurt. And just a quality kid. On all these guys are. They're quality young men. And then you've got Wyatt Powell from MFL Marmac. He played quite a bit, so he'll be in the mix. The one thing about us at linebacker now, that room has gotten a little bit tougher to get on the field because we don't play 3 of them anymore. We play 2. So we've evolved more to a 4-2-5 in terms of personnel. So our field outside linebackers become more of a DB. I'd rather be a corner almost than a safety, but that guy's become more of he is a defensive back. It just gives us more options in this day and age of football to have another kid that can run around and cover people. We feel like that is a strength in our team because we're bringing guys back. We lost Trevor Thompson, who was a very good football player for us. Michael Mulheron's back. Gage Dunker's back. We got Boyce McIntosh, too. This is a grad transfer from Drake. So we did take a transfer inside linebacker from Drake that played. It was not their starter there, but their starter there at Drake is now at Rutgers. So he's in the Big Ten. But this kid did play and played behind that guy. So we feel pretty comfortable about that.
So some depth in that room that didn't exist a year ago, especially after the injury bug bit. So if you put 2 of them out there, looks like you're going to have several to choose from, and you're going to have good linebackers running around out there in the middle of that. You coach the DBs, Coach, so you probably have a strong point of view already on what's going on back there. You're looking probably for a new guy to fill in Cade Parsons' very big shoes. He had a big year for you last year. How is that room shaping up?
Yeah, we're athletic. Obviously, we lost 2 safeties last year. Avery Dixon transferred up to North Dakota. Cade Parsons is done now, which was our we play field boundary personnel. So Avery was our field side safety and Tate was our boundary side safety. So we feel, I'll tell you what, we had a kid by the name of Chris Lassiter that was back there, played for us a lot as a true freshman. So he's in the mix right now. Nevin Foss is back. So I got Nevin Foss back here, and he played a lot. He's played a lot for us in the last 4 years. We've got BJ Gerard, who's out of Rock Island. So we feel good about that. And then Braden Camrad, who came here as a quarterback, is now also a safety for us. And he was there all spring, and he was extremely good. Okay. And then we've got a kid by the name Jalen Hodo, who came in from Central Arkansas, and he's been playing a lot of nickel for us. So that nickel spot, which is that field outside linebacker, he played that for us all spring. And we do have some other younger guys that are absolutely in the mix there. I've got a fairly big room now, and they all are pretty young. So in the terms of the safety nickel position, I do feel good. As long as we stay healthy, I feel really good about it. And we went to a 4-2-5. I moved myself back to the secondary and was trying to give myself a little bit more freedom to move around. And now I coach 5 guys on defense. So I don't know how I managed that. So now I got half the defense again. So that's just the way it goes. But DB's my passion. I like coaching those guys. It's fun. I've coached everywhere. Warren, I've coached everywhere. I think I've told you this. I've coached everywhere but quarterbacks. That's the only position I have not been a position coach is quarterbacks. So the only
you've worn all the hats.
Yeah. The only 2 things I have not done in college football is coach quarterbacks and call offensive plays. So I told Coach Parling last year, I'm like, I may just fire you and take the OC job in quarterbacks. And then I've done it all, man. I'll just take it over. So it's the only thing I haven't done.
Just promote yourself to kind of a temporary coordinator for a day.
Yeah, there you go.
Call a few plays, just 1 trip down the field, just see how it works out, just so you can check the box.
Now that it hadn't happened, I think I could say it. And if any of our guys end up hearing this, there was an outside shot I was going to be the quarterbacks coach this year. I am so happy that didn't happen. I don't think that would have been a good thing for us to have me in the quarterbacks room. But there was a scenario as we were doing the hiring, trying to get the best guys and figure it out. There was a scenario in which, I'll just move to the offensive side of the ball and coach quarterbacks. So I'm glad we dodged that bullet.
Coach, last but not least, one of the guys that sometimes we like to see him on the field, sometimes we don't, that I want to talk about, a special teams player, Nathan Bainey, provided some fun highlights last year. That kid's got a leg on him when it comes to kicking field goals, also does some punting for us. Don't like to see him punting, but we love it when he's kicking field goals. Talk a little bit about Nathan and maybe the rest of your special team squad.
Yeah, Bainey's phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal in terms of his work ethic. And here's the best thing about kickers is if they have the right mindset, that's really what you got to, what is that kid like when it gets stressful? And Bainey's an athlete. He was a 5-sport athlete in high school. He played 3 sports in the spring. He was a golfer, soccer, and track all in the spring. And then he played basketball and he played football. So he's an athlete. He played. He's a pretty cool customer, and that makes him a really good kicker. And he's dedicated to the craft, and he knows what he needs to do. He's coached well. He's got a kicking coach. All I do is him and I are on the same page. So he comes up. I'm his position coach. So I coach the secondary, and then I got to coach the kicker too. So he comes up, and all we do is maintenance. We're just house maintenance. I equate kicking a lot to golf. Now, I'm an awful golfer, but I worked at a golf course for a long time, and I was told, do not teach golf if you're not a golf coach. I know there's a million golf coaches out there. You get in the cart with somebody, they got all your fixes. But I was told very early on, you don't coach golf, don't coach it. So I equate kicking a little bit to golf. So Baney's got his swing. I'm not recreating what he's doing kicking. We're just going to maintenance a little bit. Hey, this is a little bit off. You're not locking out here. Your step's a little bit off. So we watch all that stuff and we get him out there and get him ready to go. Where he's really developed even is a punter, because he didn't come in as a punter. He had punted a little bit, but that's not what he did. He was a kicker. So now the nice thing is we didn't hit enough punts to actually register him in. Like, you have to have a minimum amount of punts to have like your average, and he didn't even hit it. We didn't punt the ball enough, which is a good problem. Trust me, I'm not complaining about that. But he averaged where we were at internally. His punts were just under 45 yards a punt. And then obviously he was phenomenal. We get inside the 35-yard line. He's phenomenal kicking the ball. We have an opportunity for points. I think it was Southwest Baptist. He had a back-to-back 49 and 50 or 50 and 51-yard field goals. And if we're ready to roll out and we get into that range, I got to start talking to the offensive coordinator about, hey, we're in range. This is where we need to be. Which is crazy, because you guys, we had a little bit of a kicking hiatus at the beginning of my career, and that was always a point of contention. So I remember when we rolled Baney out for like his first 40-some yarder, and I got a couple of looks from the staff like I was trying to land us on the moon or something like that. I'm like, he's fine. Bang, he knocked it in, and then I looked a lot smarter than what I really am. But he's really good. We're a little bit by committee right now with long snapper. We're in the process of doing that. Nolan Carl did a great job for us last year. Michael Mulheron's still here, but actually Michael Mulheron got hurt on punt team after he snapped the ball. So we'll have to see how that plays out. That's how he got hurt on a punt play, not during the snap, obviously, but covering after the snap. So we'll see how that goes. I guess I probably should talk about the corners. I went safeties on him, but when we talked about the secondary, I didn't talk about the corners. So I got Dom Salibi there. Bryson Hendricks is a kid that's played for us a lot last year, played for us a little bit before the other year. So we do have a returning starter right there. And like I said, Dom Salibi's from Iowa City and probably the best baseball player on the team, maybe. He was a phenomenal shortstop at Iowa City High. We got Max Bell out of Chicagoland area. I got Aaron King out of the Chicagoland area. He was at a couple of different schools, but Plainfield East is where he ended up. So I've got a really good but really talented group of corners. I got a couple of freshmen that are coming in that I feel have the opportunity to compete. Isaiah Wilson, and then we got a kid at safety by the name of Chris Wilkerson. So I do feel comfortable right now with that group. I feel like I've got at least 10, maybe 12 DBs that can roll out there, and we feel comfortable that we can play, which is great because all those kids help you on special teams. You got to play a lot of defensive backs for special teams. So it's good that we have a good group there.
That's a pretty good looking recap that we've got going on with Coach Jason Hoskins, getting ready for the 2026 season, which is 39 short days away. Coach, this fall, 5 weeks between the home opener and then the next game in Fayette, 3 games in October at home. What are your thoughts about the slate of games ahead of you here?
I like it. I do like the slate of games. I don't love that we're away from home so much. I was a little bit, not a scheduling error on my part, but we had ended up scheduling the Jamestown game, and Michigan Tech could not come to us. I can't remember, but he was adamant. He's like, Coach, if you can't come to us in 26, then I can't do the home and home. I'd already slated it. I already had the Jamestown game. So I'm like, do I really want to bring those 2 teams and then next year go to both Jamestown, North Dakota and Houghton, Michigan? So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we'll go back up there for you guys in 26, and then you'll come back in 27. Then I'm 5-5. Then I could not find the game that I wanted. So then we went home with Missouri Southern, same deal. He said, Coach, if you can't come to me in 26, I can't do the schedule. He basically said, if that's the case, I'll have to look for another game. So I relented and did that. Now in 27, it's nice because all these teams now come to us. We got to go to Jamestown, and then we're home the entire month of September. It's paired with that and the fact that our first conference game, which I don't have anything to do with, our first conference game's also on the road. So it was a perfect storm. It wasn't great scheduling. And then we have a bye in there also. So it's not like we play 4 road games or we play 3 road games and we got a bye in there. So the first game will be interesting. That's my former boss. So the new head coach at Jamestown hired me at Northern State. So before I took the job here at Upper Iowa as defensive coordinator in 2015, I worked for him for 5 years at Northern State. And he got that job because a guy that GA'd for me at Northern State, he was in the secondary with me, is now the AD at Jamestown. So there's some guys there that I know. Their defensive coordinator played for us at Northern State. There's 3 guys there that I know really well. The head coach, the AD, the defensive coordinator. We were all together at Northern State at one point. So that'll be an interesting game when they come here. And then Missouri Southern it's an MIAA team. It's a long trip down to Joplin, but I think that's a good quality opponent for us to play. And then we got to go back up to Houghton again for homecoming. Now, I may have to tell Coach, if we do this anymore, you got to stop scheduling us for homecoming. The hotel prices up there are absolutely killing me. But we'll go back up there, and then we'll have a bye before that game, and then we'll get into league play down at Lincoln. So feel good about it. The 2 league favorites in league play will be Truman and Indy, I'm sure, again, and we got both of those guys at home this year. We had to go on the road to both of them last year. So, yeah, like anything, whoever's on the schedule next, get a game plan together, roll it out there, and see if you have a shot to win it in the 4th quarter and figure out how to win the game. So,
yeah, Coach, one of the things that I don't think gets talked about enough in regards to Upper Iowa football, and rightfully because after last year's winning record and the Candy Bowl victory, some of this kind of gets lost, but the quality of student athletes that participate in football at Upper Iowa has significantly been on the rise. And I think that starts with the culture that you have built there and continue to build. But these players I think they might have had the highest team GPA they've had in a long time. And I believe it was over 3. They're going to class. They're not getting in trouble. They're at home basketball games. And as somebody who works on campus, these kids are pleasant to talk to. Can you talk a little bit about that culture that you've built and how hard it was to get those kids to maybe buy into that?
When I took over, Mike, I thought we still had good kids, and it was just more or less, and we continue to recruit really good kids, but just as anything, just continuing to hold that standard at a high level, making sure that our kids understood, hey, it is important to make sure you're at class. It is important to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and push in your chair and do all that. We've gotten to the point in this program, and some listening to this may be like, all right, yeah, whatever. But I think this ultimately makes you a phenomenal football team. If I get done with the game, when we get done with the game, and I go back through to walk through the locker room, that locker room is exactly how we walked when we left it. The guys clean up for themselves, but then I've got guys like Shaquille Roman, and guys that are our best players and our captains that are walking through the locker room, picking up pre-tape and tape off the floor. And we get home from a trip, and I've got a guy like Ben Warner who's walking up and down the aisles of the bus at 2:30 in the morning, making sure there's nothing left on the bus. I don't ask those. Like I say, make sure the bus is cleaned up, but I've got older kids now in this program that they just do it. And we call it championship mindset. So we harp on the guys that if you're going to get good, at some point you've got to develop a mindset that you're not willing to cut a corner in anything that you do in life. Because if you start cutting corners, it's going to leak into everything you do. Okay. When I first took over here, all right, and I tell the story all the time to recruits, my very first team meeting, all right, my very first team meeting. And we had, again, a great group of guys. Coach Shea we had a tremendous group here, even with Coach Shea. But we had a few of those guys that had a little bit more of that you can have some edge, but make sure you do things right. So one of our best players was late to the first team meeting. The only one. Everybody else is there. He walks in 3 minutes late. All right. So I say out. So I kick him out of the meeting. Didn't let him stay in the meeting. Did the meeting. Walk out. He's waiting for me outside up in LA. So I go out there and he's like, Coach, I was only 3 minutes late. I'm like, that right there is our issue. We are so close to being able to win football games. That kind of mindset, we've got to change that. We got to change it. If we don't change that, we're not going to win football games. And that first group I had, I probably did a very poor job in 2021. That first team I had, we should have won more than one game. We really should. I don't have any problem saying that. That's my fault. I should have gotten those guys pointed in the right direction, probably a little bit faster with that. But we knew that's what we had to do. It's just as we've grown as a program, it's not just me having to be on the ball every day, or Ben Kern was here, him being on the ball every day about everything that we did. Now it's the entire program is looking out for that kind of stuff. It's just we've been able now to get that saturated into our guys' minds. That's just what we do now. And because of that, as we bring new guys in, all right, they just, hey, this is the culture. This is what we do. And they get after it. So the guys know that there's certain things in this program that really bother me. And it's that I'm not working hard. I'm not going to class. I'm not turning stuff in. I'm maybe a little bit disrespectful around campus or that kind of stuff. There is a zero tolerance here on that kind of stuff. I'm a little bit different. It's things that you guys think I should really be mad about, I'm maybe not as mad about. And things that guys think I'm not really in trouble, I think that absolutely drive me up the wall. But I think if the guys understand why we do it and why when we walk into a hotel or a school cafeteria, we went to Truman State this year and ate at the CAF because that's where I had my best spot. The CAF guy sent me a note, an email. He didn't have to do that. He sent me an email afterwards and said, I've been doing this for 20 years. That is the most well-behaved group of young men I've ever had in this cafeteria. Stuff like that matters to me. It matters to me. Now, maybe you just said that because they beat us by 4 scores that day. I don't know, but that matters to me that our kids do that but I said this to a couple recruits and their parents today. I'm extremely proud and impressed with what our kids do after school, like after they're done with Upper Iowa. Like I'll check in with them a few months and you get so tunnel vision that, all right, we have this, we got to make sure our kids do this and this. You almost forget that these guys are independent young men. So then I call them and be like, yeah, coach, I'm doing this. I got this. I'm engaged. I got this deal. My house is being bought. You're like, you just got out of here 3 months ago and they are set. They are ready to go. And it's just, they've got it figured out. And to me, that's fun. That's impressive. And that's fun. And so I'm glad I get to be a very small piece of that with all these guys and get to check in with them and say hi. And hopefully every once in a while, maybe they'll get their checkbook out and write me a small little check to Upper Iowa football. But all that stuff, it's fun. I'm probably most proud of that I think our kids act and conduct themselves in the way that I think is appropriate for a young man to do at that age.
You're instructing and coaching the game of football, but you're also preparing these young men for life. And one of the messages that appears as foundational to what you tell them is the little things are the big things. And we are the sum of our habits. If you have good habits, they have a compounding effect and they leak into other aspects of your life. So that's a powerful message, Coach. Keep teaching that.
We talk about details, Warren, so I don't call them little things because everybody says the little things are what help you win. If they help you win, they're not little things, they're details. We don't say little things, we say details.
Fair enough.
If they guys say little things, I correct them and say, they're not little things, guys, they're details.
Fair enough. I like that. Look, we got about 60 of the guys in right now. You're going to have the rest of them or all of them in there by August the 4th, you tell us. It might be premature to even start setting goals and thinking about that. You probably want to see what you have under the hood, watching these guys out there on the field and doing their stuff. What does goal setting look like at this stage?
And I probably take this approach every year. I want our kids to get better at this point coming in. We're not looking at, I try to get the guys to understand that you need to figure out a way to get better today and enjoy today. And you get off the pillow, can we get back on that pill at the end of the day and be better than where we were when we got off the pillow? So let's not think about, we're not thinking about August 29th right now. I'm trying to figure out what is our guys, hopefully they have a really good workout tomorrow morning. I've got 65 of them, and I'm giving you a bunch of coach talk with this, but at the end of the day, part of my job is to make sure that I've got the guys focused on the process of getting there, not the result of getting there. So I want to make sure our guys are more process driven than they are results driven. And then all that stuff just happens. But if you enjoy getting there, then it doesn't seem like such a slog. Because I'll tell you what, fall camp isn't always probably the most fun time for these guys. Me and Coach Long were just talking about it. I can't wait for fall camp. I'm so tired of looking at GPAs and ATS paperwork and who's got their physical in and are you registered for your classes. And I want to put my air mattress in the corner of my office and sleep up here for the next week and coach football, Warren. That's what I want to do, because I don't get to, most of my job isn't football anymore, it feels like. So Coach Long and I were just talking about this. We cannot wait for football to start. But it's just, at the end of the day, I want our kids to get better. I want us to get to those games. I want us to put together a really good game plan. I want us to have an opportunity to win that game late. And then I want to figure out how to get over the top and win. So everybody asks, what record? There's guys around town, and you guys may know a couple of them, all right, that want to know, that grab me and want to know, hey, I got you at this record, or what do you think you're at? And if I told you guys, oh, we're going to be 8-3, the first question you should ask me is, which 3 games are you going to lose? At the end of the day, our job is to win that week. So if you do that, there shouldn't be a loss on there, depending on what you're doing. But ultimately, our goal is to put ourselves in a position. I like how Rick Hartzell says, put us in a position where we're playing meaningful games in November, where we have a shot to play for something. But to do that, we've got to play really good football and have our shot and give ourselves shot to win games in the fourth quarter. So I like how a team comes together. I like how we play better football. And I was telling this to the staff the other day. I haven't seen a team. I haven't been part of a team probably since I was at Southern Illinois when we were the #1 team in the country. Those last 5 games at Upper Iowa last year, we were playing outstanding football. We did not want the season to end. We were rolling. I wholeheartedly believe we had a shot to beat anybody as we were coming down the stretch last year, and felt like we were going to, whoever we went out there and play, it was going to be tough. Not saying we would have won the games, but I think we had a legitimate opportunity to beat anybody that they rolled out in front of us by the end of the year. It was a lot of fun, and the guys just continued to feed into it and continue to play. And it wasn't, all right, we're going to dwell on the win. It was win, enjoy your 24 hours, boom, we're back in and going to work. Besides me, I enjoyed about 2 hours. I about got out of the tailgate area, and then it was back onto the next one. But the guys, they kind of followed that lead, and we kind of just rolled. So it was fun that we got to play in the bowl game last year, because we got 3 more weeks with them. So that was fun.
Hey, I've got one final one. Coach Hoskins, we get viewed by plenty of Iowa high school football players, class of 2027 especially. They're looking for a place to play. Why should they look at Upper Iowa? Why should they look at Coach Hoskins and make Upper Iowa their home for the next 4 years?
Besides the obvious answer, we're the only Division II in the state. So we are the state's Division II. And honestly, if we could I love all of our kids from all of the states, but if we could keep our best kids at home, we wouldn't really have to leave the state. There's a lot of really good football here. I'm not going to lie, a lot of guys that are here are just like all of these other guys from good quality programs in Iowa. This is a good place. Now you're going to get pushed, but I think that's a positive. We're not going to let our guys, we're going to find a way. We're going to have expectations for them, and we're going to push them to be the best they can be. So yes, you're going to have fun here. Yes, you're going to have a great college career. But at the end of the day, you're going to get set up to do whatever you want to do next. And you get all of us. And we're extremely upfront with them. We're blunt. We're honest. We push them. But because of that, it goes back to the very first thing I said on the show is I don't have guys leaving our program. And if they do, they're doing it to either go play or they're doing it to try to move up. I think everybody, if they take a look at us and really dive in, would understand that, hey, listen, there are really good people in Fayette. There's genuine people. They're excited about our athletics. They want our kids to succeed. And I think if guys took a really deep dive in it, not the surface level, I think that's what happens. Guys that take a really deep dive and say, you know what, I'm at least going to go check that place out. We have a really good shot at getting them. I think the guys that just take us at as a surface level are, okay, yeah, maybe I'm going to look at this that's maybe a little bit more flashy. But at the end of the day, once you get somewhere, it's your coaches, it's who's in that locker room. Are people around campus supportive of you? Can you get your degree and be successful? Outside of that, everything else we show you is flash. We'll show you our stadiums. We'll put you in our uniforms. We'll do this and that. But if you got the right guys in the room, you can get yourself in a spot where you're going to be able to be successful for the next 40 years of your life, and you feel like people really care about you, that is the place where you can go succeed. And that's exactly what you can do at Upper Iowa. Here, as much as anywhere I've been at 6 different institutions. And that's the case. And our game day atmosphere is second to none at this level. They're in a better spot. I've done it. I was floating around the NSIC for 12 years. This is it. This is it. There's not a better spot to go watch a college football game. Guys are going to disagree with me, and I know I got a little bit of bias in me, but there's not a better spot to catch a Division II football game than here. There's just not. It's phenomenal.
Good thoughts all, Coach. Sons of coaches make pretty good coaches. This guy is proof of that. He got in line for humility twice. Peacock blue to the core. Friend of the show, welcome to come back anytime. Head football coach Jason Hoskins. Coach, thanks for sitting in with us. We had a great time. Come back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. You guys have me anytime you want. I'll come talk football. Then I have no problem with that. You guys know if we win, I want to break the board in the locker room. I want to wave to a couple of parents. All right, I want to maybe have a pop, and then I want to go sit on my couch and watch some game on the West Coast, fall asleep, and go back and do it again. I just want to win football games and have some fun with it.
Wonderful. I agree to all of that. That sounds great, Coach. Hey, see you down there in a few weeks, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Warren. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for tuning in, and hope you liked it. For producer John Gunderson and the Alpha Peacock, Mike Schrock, I'm Warren. See you next time.